They shot 33% from three tonight, but they held Texas A&M to 39% from the floor, 7 for 30 from three, and they held the nation's best offensive rebounding team to just 11 offensive rebounds and a 28.2% offensive rebounding percentage. I had to get my stats up because CJ was on the show. Randolph, what'd you make of Kentucky's win against Texas A&M tonight?
I for me, it's one of their more impressive wins, if not the most impressive one, because of the way they wanted a team that plays a completely contradictory style to them. Texas A&M took them out to the deep waters, and they went out there and they found a way to get it done. I mean, they controlled the glass. They rebounded when they needed to. I thought Carr was big in moments, and I think he needs to be at times. His ability when the teams are switching him. It wasn't a great shooting night for Kentucky. They just found a way to win in an ugly game against a team that makes you play that way. And credit to Kentucky because they usually, their system usually overwhelms people with their pace and their motion and their shooting. And A&M was switching everything, playing them with a physicality. I thought Kentucky answered the bell, and to me, it's probably their most impressive win.
CJ?
It's their resilience that keeps standing out to me. Like, They got really good shots early in that game. I had no problem with the threes that they were taking, and they were just missing them. And it seems like every in these big games when they're down or when it's close, they come out second half and whether Mark Pope makes an adjustment or they just keep going with what they think works and sticking with it, they always seem to play better in second halves. But that's what stood out to me was just the resilience of being able to just kind of shake off a cool start. And A&M was uncharacteristically throwing in some threes with guys that don't make threes early on. So it was almost like A&M looked like Kentucky making threes and Kentucky was missing all their shots. So I thought their resilience was impressive. And then, I know Zarek Phillips had 21, but it did not feel like that at all. And I thought Lamont Butler's defense on him was terrific. And that dude got beat up tonight. Like every couple minutes he was taking a shot. And he just kept coming back out there and getting stops and making big defensive plays. So, very impressive performance from him, even though he, only has 6 points, but defensively and 6 turnovers. But man, I thought he was so valuable tonight with his defense and just impressive that they can get it done on a night where, they can't shoot. They're not necessarily the Golden State Warriors. Like they don't got to make shots to win games. So and they still put up 81. So that was impressive.
Yeah, I think it was Jackson Robinson that stood out for me, right? The thing that I was kind of the stick that I used to beat them earlier in the season was that they didn't really have a guy that you could go to, right? And it is a little bit of like death by 1,000 cuts when you play this Kentucky team because they have so many different pieces that can beat you, and it kind of wears you. Like if you got to be worried about Travis Perry and Ansley Almanor coming off the bench and banging home threes on you, that's when you know that you have a roster that is deep, that is talented, and that is dangerous. But Jackson Robinson at 22 tonight, he was the best player on the floor in the win against over the weekend against Mississippi State on the road. And I just having him able to do this. There was one play, Randolph, in the second half where he had just knocked down a couple of threes and they Texas A&M runs him off the 3-point line. He gets in the lane and he's kind of looking to his right and he looks off the defense and throws like a one-handed bullet to Travis Perry in the corner on the other side of the floor. That bangs home the three. And it's like when you're getting that from Jackson Robinson, that tells me he's playing with a level of confidence that we did not see in the game against Duke, that we did not see in some of these earlier performances. And that to me is big because he's probably the most talented dude I think that they have, all things considered.
There was a history there tonight too, man.
I expect some of that. I expect some of that from him because there's a comfort level with him with his system where I think some of these other guys are making the adjustment for him. There's a comfort level, but I do agree when he's creating, it helps Kentucky be that much more better.
Go ahead,
I was about to say there was some history there tonight too, man. Did you see him looking at Buzz after those couple threes in the first half? He started his career at A&M, so there was definitely something going on there. But I've loved how he's played the last 2 games. Kobe Bray has kind of cooled off, but Jackson's been there to be that guy that is their knockdown shooter. And I wrote it this weekend. What was really impressive in that game at Mississippi State is I think after he had 7 threes, right, in that game. I think after he hit his 7th 3, he didn't take another shot for 15 minutes. And if you go back and watch the tape, like he's making plays, he's setting screens for other guys, he's pointing to where the openings are because the defense is all on him. To me, like he is in such a comfort zone right now that he knows he doesn't have to force it, and he's going to get his shots when the opportunities come. And he's been terrific these last 2 games.
Yep. Randolph, can you imagine any situation where you knock down 7 threes? And I remember that, CJ. He ripped off like 3 or 4 in a row at that point, right? Can you imagine any situation where you're sitting there 7 for 8 from 3 and you don't shoot another one for 15 minutes?
No, it wouldn't happen. Let me just tell you, it wouldn't happen.
If you're 7 for 8 from 3, how many heat checks are you getting up?
The next 3. The next 3 gotta go.
See, that tells you a lot about Jackson Robinson there. I will just end with this real quick. Like, I love everything about what this kind of the Kentucky program represents right now. And I do love my favorite thing to do is whenever Kentucky has a win like this, it's kind of whenever they play, but whenever they have a win, just scroll through social media, scroll through X, scroll through Twitter, scroll through Instagram, and see like what is Mark Pope doing afterwards. Did you guys see this? Like he went up in the crowd. So he hung around at Mississippi State and talked to fans on the court. And there was a fan in a wheelchair at the second deck that couldn't get down. So he went all the way up to the second deck and sat down with the dude for like 5 minutes and talked to him. He was talking to parents afterwards. He FaceTimed some kid's grandma back in Kentucky that made the trip down there. Like, I just think that he, more than anybody else that I've seen, Randolph, and CJ, I want your take on this too, because I know you're going, shameless plug, you're going down to Kentucky this weekend, right, for the Kentucky-Alabama game, so we'll have a story on this.
Yep, be there for
I think he just understands what it means to be the face of that program better than anyone we've seen in a long time, and I hope he keeps winning because he will be a legend in that state if he can get anywhere near this level for any extended period of time.
There's a level of humility, I think, in him he feels because of he's an alum. He knows what that program is. And I was with Tony Delk a couple of weeks ago, and he was just talking about him. And all the Kentucky guys, like every school, they have their chat, they have their text. Like he has so much support from all of his guys, man, and they all speak the world of him. He's just genuinely just a good guy that doesn't feel as though he's the head coach of Kentucky, and that makes him better than everyone else. He embraces it. He understands. He's fully aware of what that means, and there's a level of humility about how he represents himself and his family, man. And he's fun to cheer for, and he should be really happy because that win today to me was their best win because of the style and the way A&M junks the game up and makes you play a physical, different style. And let's be honest, we've seen some teams get physical. We saw, get physical with Kentucky and think that that's the way that you try to beat them. And tonight it didn't work. And this team just seems to be getting better and better.
Yep. CJ, you have 30 seconds. The floor is yours. Tell us about the story that you're writing and what you're doing down there in Kentucky. Go.
I'll be going to tell the story of the love story that they got with Pope, and I think I'm going to come out with a Lamont Butler feature as well. So that's the plan. But man, he's doing a terrific job, and they're playing. They play how he acts, right? Like there's an unselfishness to it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Kentucky love story, the Mark Pope love story is there you go. I just gave you your headline.